They praise the dead, but test the living. Some people do not know how to honor what is alive. They only know how to worship what is already gone. When a person is living quietly, walking with dignity, holding virtue without performance, keeping decency in a world that rewards corruption, they do not see that as something sacred. They see it as something to test, something to poke, something to provoke, something to measure with their own ugliness. Not because the person has done wrong, but because the person has remained clean. And in a world like this, cleanliness is treated like a challenge. A humble man is accused of pride. A considerate man is treated as weak. A quiet man is treated as if he is hiding something. A strong man is treated as if he must be brought down. Not because he asked to be above anyone, but because his presence reminds others of what they are not. So they test him, not with truth, with distortion, not with sincerity, with ego. They try to humiliate him through the very thing they carry inside themselves. They call it checking, they call it banter, they call it social play, but underneath it, it is often envy looking for permission. And worse than that, it becomes a kind of theater. Because when one person does it, others watch. And when others watch, the testing becomes performance. A little cruelty here, a little disrespect there, a little public diminishment, a little symbolic lowering. And suddenly, it is no longer about the person. It becomes a ritual of proving worth to the crowd, a ritual of gaining status through someone else's restraint, a ritual where the one who remains composed becomes a stage on which lesser spirits perform. That is one of the ugliest things in this world. Some people do not meet goodness with reverence. They meet it with appetite. And when they do not see you as an individual, they reduce you. They do not encounter you. They encounter a category, a race, a nation, a gender, a type, a symbol, a projection. And once they have reduced you into a category, they no longer feel accountable to the person standing before them. Now they can mistreat you while pretending it is social. Now they can diminish you while pretending it is normal. Now they can bypass your humanity and deal only with what you represent. And this is where the deception becomes deeper. Because if they want to appear kind, if they want to appear moral, if they want witnesses to think well of them, they often will not help the actual person in front of them. No, they help the group, the race they think you should be associated with, the country they think you belong to, the gender opposite yours, the class they can display generosity towards in public. Not because they truly see, but because symbolic help is safer than real humility. It lets them keep their image. It lets them say, "Look how good I am," without ever appreciating before the truth of a single soul, without ever directly honoring the one person whose dignity unsettled them. So instead of raising the person, they redirect the energy to the category, and in doing that, they try to pressure the individual into lowering himself. If he stands tall, they want him reflected in the group and diluted. If he appears distinct, they want him absorbed into the collective and flattened. If he carries presence, they want that presence mirrored somewhere else until he is no longer singular, until he is no longer felt as a living witness. This is why many strong and inwardly upright people are not attacked directly in obvious ways. They are surrounded, mirrored, crowded, symbolically repositioned. Their image is projected outward into groups, types, substitutes, opposites, until what was once clear is made socially muddy. And the purpose is simple: lower what stands, not because it is arrogant, but because it is refused to collapse. This is why so many people are only celebrated after death, because death removes the discomfort of presence. A dead man cannot silently confront your pettiness. The dead can be turned into stories, status, quotes, ceremonies, anniversaries. The living are harder. The living require real recognition. The living require courage. The living require you to honor something before the crowd tells you it is safe. And most people do not have that courage. They wait for media. They wait for status. They wait for family name. They wait for public approval. They wait for consensus. They wait until the world has already stamped someone as worthy. Only then do they bow. Only then it is no longer reverence. It is imitation. That is why prophets were not accepted in their own towns, because truth, when it is near, is offensive to the false, not always because truth is loud, but because it is present, and the presence itself becomes a mirror. A mirror many cannot bear, so they cannot leave such people alone, especially if those people are not for the crowd. If you do not perform for them, if you do not shrink for them, if you do not become socially digestible for them, they become restless, because your refusal to submit breaks the invisible agreement, the agreement that everyone must lower themselves to be accepted. And some of us were never made for that agreement. Some of us would rather be misunderstood than false, rather be isolated than absorbed, rather be uncelebrated in life than praised after death by some mouths that once tested our soul for sport. So, if the world does not honor you while you are living, do not be too quick to think you have no worth. Sometimes it means only this: you remained visible in a place that only knows how to worship ashes.